Okay, my friends, this has got to be just manifest destiny. I've been thinking about doing a video on stromatolites, which are the fields and fields of these balls that they say now they've figured out how they form. But it says here, stromatolites are bizarre fossils whose biological origins were debated until only a few decades ago. They just never could figure out what they are. And now they figured it out, it's all solved. Today, scientists generally agree stromatolites are layered colonial structures. They're colonies, predominantly formed by cyanobacteria. I don't disagree with the growth of these little plant life things, but they are bizarre fossils. All right, they're not just little plant growth. See, here you go. They always agree. Today's scientists generally agree, and I'm a scientist, I don't agree with it at all, that stromatolites are layered colonial structures predominantly formed by cyanobacteria. But listen to this. They're the oldest fossils on Earth, dating back to more than 3 billion years ago. But they just keep growing and growing and growing. These are the oldest fossils. Well, I totally discount that opinion. You see this? They go back to the Triassic, which is what my fossils are from. And they have these fields and fields of these balls. They can't get their heads around the size of the creatures that were here, because these are biology of a creature's body. Okay, so we're talking about stromatolites, which are these balls, and they come in huge, 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 huge fields. And when they're right up along the ocean and they are exposed to a lot of moisture and so forth, they grow a lot of cyanobacteria, they call it. That's fine. This is growth growing on something that's providing it with nutrients. Normally, rocks don't do that. And they say that these are the oldest fossils that exist, that they have been growing here for 3 billion years, or whatever it was, billions of years. Well, I discount that totally. Let's start right from scratch. What do we see in this entire picture? We see a very, very strange white layer there, totally white, and it's kind of strange. Then we see this red layer here, which also is very strange, a very, very distinct separation. Now let's see if we can get any closer to this. Now, these balls appear to be eroding from the wall, and the upper surface is just collapsing down over to the top of it, so you really don't see it well, but you can see them in the wall, and if you were there you would see them quite distinctly. And I know people that have been out there, and they're quite aware of these balls in the walls. Now, they have eroded from the ocean, working its way. The white stuff falls down on top of it, but eventually it just turns into mud and the balls show up as it just continues to go backwards. Now, what is the mud made out of? Well, the mud is made out of this reddish stuff and this whitish stuff, or mixed together, because it's very, very particle-like. It just turns into mud when you mix it with water. And this is just erosion. So can I show you anything that would shed light on this if I claim this is biology? Which I do. I say this whole thing is biology as well as that. And what biology would it be? Well, let's see if we can find something similar. Okay, it doesn't require much time on this. This, first of all, I discovered in Mudfossils, and it became a new organ in 2018. They never realized this was here, which is this layer, and then all of these balls underneath it. You see all those balls? Those are the balls that have eroded down. That white strip is up at the top. Now, whether it was skin or whether it was interstitium, I don't know. But it appears that the layer up the top is pretty much gone. And this white layer is there. And then below you have a little bit of a dark line, which you can see. And then all of the balls are here, which have eroded into the ocean. Now, I think this layer up above is gone. It appears, and we can see that very white layer and then the red layer below. And this, again, they didn't know this existed. And the creatures that were alive, I'm sorry, it's just a fact. They were miles and miles and miles and literally hundreds of miles in size, and the whole thing was tissue from their creatures' bodies. And there's a ton of these balls all over the world. I'm going to show you a couple of dozen shots of these tendon balls. They're everywhere, interstitium balls, whatever you want to call them, but they're little anchors. Let's take a little look at the anatomical. Okay, here's the deal with this interstitium. This layer is on every organ in your body, every it's a membrane that surrounds every single organ, your muscles, your tendons, your gastrointestinal system, your kidneys, your urinary tract, your digestive system. It is one huge fluid-filled highway that does the whole body. So what are we looking at? Remember I said this could be this white layer right here. And below it, I'm certain this is what this is all these balls right here. And again, you can see them if you look careful. Let me bring the camera in a little closer on that. You see all those balls? That's what's eroding into the ocean, all those little black balls. And those are the things that keep you in position so that when you stretch your skin and all that stuff, you come back to where you're supposed to be. Now, and again, brand new organ. They just, and I discovered this. I'm telling you right now. I wrote a paper on it in 2015 that it was a network of fluid-filled spaces that was one giant organ that did the whole body. And then in 2018, they said, yep, that's what it is. Now, here is this up against the Moki marbles. Now, I'm going to show you a second. Well, I'll show you right here. You see how dense those balls are? It's absolutely everywhere. And guess what? There they are right there. Now, this is a raised up spot. And everything's eroded here. The skin, whatever this is. Now, again, let me try to make this clear. I don't know if this is skin, and that's tissue below it. But I believe this is the fluid-filled highway. And there was something else above it, a little bit of fascia, and it's probably an organ or something. Because don't forget, this coat's everywhere. This is not just the skin. And I don't know what this is either. This could be the skin, or it could have been an organ. But all your organs are coated with the fascia, and it wraps around it, and they have all those little balls, and they move in and out. And it's every single organ in your body, every single membrane, and every single thing you have in your body that slides against everything else is separated by a membrane. And here's what it looks like right here. This is what the artist's rendition of this is. So this would be this layer right here. All right, this right here is the fluid-filled highway. And it still works its way down through the rest. But right here, let me see if I got a better shot of this. You might be able to see this. Let me turn off the light. Hold on one second. All right, I think you can see that. You see that red up at the top layer, that little darker red all the way across the top layer, right between the white and the top. And then these are the balls underneath, those little black spots. That, I believe, is the fluid-filled highway. Could be wrong, but I'm going to take it that way. And again, this is some kind of a surface, whether it's the surface of an organ or whether it's the skin or whatever it is. I don't know. Like I said, this has to be manifest destiny. This just came out today, just as I'm getting ready to do the Stromatolites. Land of the Lost, hidden lagoon network found with living fossils similar to those from more than 3 billion years ago. Well, here they are, and they are down on a high plateau in northwest Argentina, has a salt lagoon with living giant stromatolites. layered rocks created by microbes that represent the earliest fossil evidence for life on Earth. And here they are. Those are those balls. Those are those balls right here. This is just too much. This is way too much. Those balls right there. All right, now listen to this very, very, very carefully. Ancient, long ago, giant stromatolites were widespread in Earth's Precambrian era, which encompasses the early time span of around 4.6 billion years ago to 541 million years ago. But now they are sparsely distributed around the world. The most well-developed areas are in the Bahamas and the Shark Bay area in Western Australia, according to the non-profit conservation organization Bush Heritage Australia. Modern stromatolites are relatively small. They're saying they're modern. They don't know when they formed, but they're laying around. Whereas ancient stromatolites can grow 20 feet, which is 6 meters, and 16 to 22 feet wide, he said, beneath the waters of whatever lagoon. The recently uncovered stromatolites are up to 15 feet wide and several feet high. Now, let me show you what these things are. It's biology. I'm telling you right now, they just don't get it, and they're scared to death of the sizes of these creatures, because it supports everything that was said in these ancient texts in the Bible, Velikovsky's work. All of them said, well, literally, all of them have giants and dragons and monsters, and the earth was a living creature. That's what all the ancient myths said. And right now, I have no reason to doubt it, that these creatures did make up and comprise the earth. The earth is a corpse, and when you find that corpse, you will find the bodies. Jesus Christ said that. All right, let's look at this carefully, just so you fully understand what we got here. They never knew this existed, because by the time they ever autopsied this stuff, it was flat as a pancake. They thought it was just a thin, flat layer, and it wasn't. So now they're calling a newfound organ, and it's the biggest organ in the human body. This is 2018. And the reason it's the biggest in the human body is because it covers every single bit of tissue in your body. It says, with all that's known about the human anatomy, you wouldn't expect doctors to discover a new human body part in this day and age. They didn't. I did. Now researchers say that's just what they did. They found a network of fluid-filled spaces in tissues that hadn't been seen before. It's exactly the wording I said. It was a network of fluid-filled tubes, I think I said, but they're spaces, same thing. And that was in 2015. That was my paper, because I could see them in the mud fossils. Anyway, these fluid-filled spaces were discovered in connective tissue all over the body, including below the skin surface, the lining of the digestive tract, the lungs, urinary system, surrounding muscles, tendons, organs, everywhere. According to a new study detailing the findings published, this is in 2018, March 27th. And before, they had thought it was a dense wall of collagen, but I could see these in my mud fossils, and I started investigating about 2010 or so, and nobody knew anything about them. But eventually I did write the paper in 2015, because I was looking at this layer as the protective layer that protected all my mud fossils and preserved them. So in the process of my paper about the mud fossils, I said, this fascia is something nobody's ever looked at before. It's a fluid-filled highway, or fluid-filled network that coats the whole body. It's everywhere. And I could see it everywhere. So anyway, these are the balls right there, which we've been looking at, those little balls. They're everywhere. They're just literally everywhere. Now, they were from these giant creatures, and I'm talking creatures that were hundreds of miles big. This is what it is what it is. I cannot change that, but I can give you the story, the truth. And they are not telling you the truth right now. You know, billions of years ago, these things were growing. They were huge then, and then they got smaller. Well, let me tell you something. Here's a real story. All of these creatures were killed in the Great Flood. All my mud fossils came from that Great Flood. Yale says there was a Great Flood that created the mud fossils. They agree with all that. And then they say that was 540 million years ago. Worldwide, created these balls and all these things worldwide. That's just not true. It was only 3,500 years ago. Velikovsky recorded this event everywhere from every culture. There was creatures here that were just staggeringly large. And they had been written out of history because they were so spectacularly large, nobody would ever even consider it. And that's why they were like Enoch and all of the ancient myths and all that. Just forget about them. They're just crazy people. No, they were telling the truth, and it's just too much of a spectacular truth to be considered worthy of even looking into. That's what happened to me. I've been showing this stuff for over 10 years, and even having DNA tests and CAT scans and specimens and everything else, chemistry, and all the ancient texts supported everything I'm saying. And that's at least from 2015. I've been posting paper after paper after paper, contact after contact after contact. Nothing from academia, because this destroys literally everything they're saying. I mean, literally everything. They hate God. They hate anybody that talks about religion or having a spiritualness to them. They literally hate that. And they will demean you and ruin your life for talking about it. And my experiences with academia, they're just nothing but a disgrace. Absolute, total disgrace. 100%. 100%. I haven't found a single one. Not one in academia in 10 years that cares a damn about the truth. Zero. Absolute zero. Okay, my friends, I'm making crazy claims, but they're true. And these are biological things. They can be tested, and I have had them tested. That's a lung from a human being. It's been DNA tested, and flat as a pancake, because they all came from the Great Flood. And that's where the heart would be, and it's a left human lung. And I drilled into the red blood, took the red blood out of there, and sent it off. This is a no-toe. It's a foot from some kind of creature that, it almost looks like it has a soul built into the foot, but that's not a shoe. That's the guy's foot. And we have a bunch of these. And this is a giant hair follicle. That's a hair follicle. You know how big they are in you. They're just microscopic, basically. That's this one right here. You see that? Right there. That's where the pili muscle attached. Right there. Boom. That makes your hair be able to go up and down, stand on end. On the other side is the sebaceous gland right there. All right. There's the hair shaft. Flat on one side means it's a curly-haired person. There's the hair, the root ball, and there's the two vein and artery right down the bottom. Completely transitioned, but from a giant creature. Very, very large creature would have to be. Think of the size of the hair. So, and again, that's small. This is small. This guy's just a puppy compared to what, the ones that were covering this earth. Just think of the size of the creature for this. But I'm sure you've seen Typhon and Quetzalcoatl, if you've been around here at all, and they're thousands of miles long. This is what they said in the ancient texts as well. His head would often brush the stars. You see this? This is a tendon. These little fibrils, they call them fibrils, that come out of here. They're little tiny things, and they are the hexagonal patterns that you see all over the world. Devil's Giant's Causeway, Devil's Tower, Devil's Pulse Pile, and I'll show you what they look like. And they are little fibers that go down and down into that ball, which is the Achilles tendon. Okay, pay attention to this now. You see these straps? And then there's this wrinkle zone right there. When you rip a tendon and break it, you get a wrinkle zone. It's like a rubber band. It goes boing, and then you get a wrinkle zone right here and right there. And then they sew them back together. Now, what I want you to take away from this is you've got your heel bone here. Now, it's a calcaneus. It's the Achilles tendon, heel. Now, these fibers come down, and these are in bundles. And then inside every one of those bundles, there's a smaller bundle and a smaller bundle and a smaller bundle. And I can show you that right now. You see that? That's the tendon. And they come down in these fairly good-sized blocks. And then they turn into these blocks. And then inside of every one of these little fibers is one of these. And you start getting into your hexagonal patterns. And then the hexes come out of here. And then they get smaller. And then they get even smaller and smaller and smaller. And where do they go? They go down into your Achilles tendon. All right, they're going down into a Achilles heel. All of those fiber in these bundles. And you look up at Devil's Tower and so forth, on the side of it where it comes down, you see all of these fibers. The big ones. The little ones, well, maybe you've seen the little ones. I really don't know. But you're seeing all these hex patterns. You see that? That's Devil's Tower. And you see the wrinkle zone. That's the wrinkle zone, like I told you, when they snap just like in a regular and they break flat as a pancake. There appears to be some little area that there had been some artery blood here, because that turns everything green, and they love the artery blood. And these little spots down here are probably where there was little bits of arteries, blood vessels. Now, if you look closely, you can see the pattern of the heel right there. You see that? On both sides? Oh, it's coming down, it's a perfect heel. And this is not some kind of magma or, intrusive volcanism or whatever they want to call it. No. Let's take a couple other shots at this. And I can show you all the red flesh from the body that was attached to this that fell over. See, that's pretty obvious. That's the wrinkle zone. Now, again, you see the green here? Whenever you see the reddish looking color, it usually indicates there was some artery blood there. And green just thrives on that artery blood. And the same thing with those tendon balls or those interstitium balls that are all over in the ocean. They still have nutritious value in there. And that's what those little sea creatures are growing on. And the same thing, you see the rocks. Well, wait a minute, hold on a second. Where do you see these? All right, I can't seem to find it, but I have like the Moki marbles, only they're on a seashore, and it's very cold. You can see there's a lot of ice and so forth there. And every one of them is like, they look like little round mice. They're just round little balls of green like this, extremely green, because the green grows on that food source, which is biological. Those are tendon balls, and this is actually tendon. And in between every one of these little straps is this gooey stuff. You see this little slurpy stuff in between? That lets them slide among themselves and gives them a little give and so forth. See it? The whole Earth is like this, and these are just gigantic. You saw Devil's Tower. This is a guy climbing up Devil's Tower. This stuff here is what they call slurpy. It's small, leucine-rich proteins, which are the coverings of the tendons, so they can slide among themselves without gooing up together, and it's falling off, and that guy is crazy. Now, what's next? I can show you a million things about everything, basically, but at some point you gotta, just think about the size of these things. This guy would easily be that big. Easy. This is crazy stuff. I'm not saying it isn't, but what true is true. And if you can't accept the truth, well, that's up to you. But I told you I could show you all this red body. Here's this red body laying all over here. The guy died, fell over this way. That's all, and you can even see the layer, some of it. I'm sure that's got something to do with his tissue, whether it's ribs or something, I don't know. But it's definitely from red flesh. Of that, I am absolutely 100% certain. And you can see it. Look at here. I always talk about how things, when they're green, they grow real green. It's because of blood. And here, look at them. Look at this. All around here is very extremely green, right down to here. And this is where all this red blood went. And that white stuff, I don't know. That could have been some kind of tendon, bone, I don't know. And his arm, it looks like one arm went off to this way and one went over this way or whatnot. But you can see there's a pile of flesh around this leg. Now, I always wonder why there's only one leg, and most of the time that's true. I think one of them is pushed deep into the ground, and I did see a shot. I might have it here somewhere. It shows where there might be one stuck in the ground. This one here. I'm not sure where Devil's Tower is on this, but I think it's back over here somewhere. There's that flesh. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But I always thought maybe they would push themselves. That must be right. That must be somewhere over in this. I don't know where that footprint was. Might be right over in here. I really don't know, but maybe it's right there. You know what? I think that's it. Because it has this little thing here. Let's go back and look at it again. Let's see what this white thing is. Let's see if we can find that marker. Hold on. This is the way research works. All right, there's the white thing. Yeah, that's the white thing right there. All right, and there's the main road. Now let's go back and look again. All right, there's the white thing right there. And I guess this is the main road. And the foot is right next to it. So the foot is this side of this stuff. So that foot is over in here somewhere. It definitely fits wherever it is. I can't tell, to be perfectly honest. Maybe it's right in here. This thing here and that road. Let's go back and see. See if you can see it. My eyes aren't so good anymore. All right, here we go. This looks like it must be the main road, and it goes right into it. Oh, okay. The main road runs right along on the side of it. All right, so let's look at that. The main road runs right along the side of it, so it's got to be right over in here somewhere. I guess it's right here. You got to see these things from the right angle, the right shot. But it is right there. Yeah, I would go along with that. It's got to be right in this area somewhere. And that could be it. That could be it. The road comes right around the edge of it. Devil's Tower, National Mall. Oh, here it is right here, right underneath the words. There's one foot right here, and there's the other. Yeah, that's it. Oh, man, sometimes I get lost. All right, look at this. I forgot all about this for years and years. This is the Devil's Tower. All right, and the guy fell over here. Here's his red flesh. All this is growing really nice in here because his red, fleshy, bloody body died there. Now everybody says, where's the other shoe? Where's the other foot? Where's the other foot? Well, and I forgot all about this. I just say, well, I don't know where it is. Who knows? But then I realized I had this shot here. Here's Devil's Tower right here. There's the other foot right there. And here's the road that goes right down alongside of the foot. So this foot must have been coming this way too, I would imagine. Unless you got one going this way. And his calf fell off to the back here, and all the other good stuff is way over this side. That's the Devil's Tower. And there's where his other foot was. I forgot all about that shot. And here's what, you know, they're going to be very, very good sized creatures, you know, almost full grown, as you would say. What it is what it is. I can't change what it is. And now I guess I'm going to go, if you want, I might as well, what the hell. I'm going to go into all the different types of tendons and the tendon balls. You see here, I should show you this. And all these little fibers, I think, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. There's the anchor and all the fibers come down into it. I think I showed you that. But I am going to pull out a couple clips here and there, so I might lose it. But here it is right there. Here's where all these little tendons come down. And they come down bigger, smaller. You see how tiny they get? And that's what this is. These are the tendons. They go down into the Achilles tendon or some other tendon that locks in the body. This is what they are. These little fibers, they come down to these balls. But all the fibers come down till they anchor into the balls. And there's two different types of tendon. There's a ponerosis and there's the rope-like tendon, the big heavy-duty tendon. And then there's a ponerosis, which goes through your, like this stuff here. You see that? That's still tendon, but it's flat. And they got little anchors and they have little balls going through holes. And I can show you all that stuff. It's called a tendon mat. And the other tendons are like these style of rope. You saw the Moki marbles, and these are nothing more than the little interstitium balls. I'm claiming that's what these are right here, the Moki marbles, and the stromatolites. Stromatolites are the same thing. These Moki marbles, stromatolites, interstitium. That's right there. It's all the same stuff. It's just everything was gigantic back then. You know, and this is what the flood wiped everything off the face of the earth. And all my mud fossils are on the face of the surface of the earth. So Velikovsky recorded that this didn't happen long ago. And this just throws everything for a total loop. And it brings the mythology and religion and God and Jesus Christ and everything out right up on the top of the table now. You can't hide it. You can't suppress it and say, don't talk about that. That's not science. It's more science than science, my friends. Science is not science anymore. It's not even close to being science anymore. And some meatball put this up. This root, this is baby corn. They put this roots thing underneath the Devil's Tower, made a big thing how they X-rayed or did something to it to find that. That's the problem. People make things up, and then it makes everything look silly. Well, my stuff is not silly. DNA tested, some of it CAT scan, specimens, anatomy, chemistry, biology. It's all right here, and you can't run and hide from it anymore. It's either you deal with it or you just go about your life being perfectly happy, deluded, PhD'd. I haven't found one in academia that will even discuss this. They will absolutely refuse to look at it because it's just it will destroy everything that they've thought. So they're perfectly happy, deluded. All right, same thing here. The balls all the way everywhere. And they were just absolutely enormous. Totally enormous. And they have some with this style, like the eggshell or Russian doll looking things, one right after the other, and that's, you know, fairly good size. And I'm just going to shuffle through these. That's just, a lot of them are right on the ocean, on the edge of the ocean, because that's where you can see them, where they erode into them. Those are balls. This color stuff, that's clay. Normally that is going to be skin. The kaolin clays and the bentonite, like that's going to be skin too. And interstitium, same stuff. And these are where there's a lot of erosion. But the balls, they're tough. These are just another batch of them laying around. This one here was interesting because that had to be exposed to some kind of chemistry that made this particular layer stabilize with the green. Sometimes they'll stabilize with the black and there'll be a red center. I think I have some of those in here. All right, this is another different style. It has I'm not sure whether that can sort of jiggle around inside and move a little bit, and it's not really a solid ball. I don't know. But this appears to be like chert or flint or whatever. And there's a hole in the center, and I believe they're filled with, oops, hold on, big mistake. What did I do? What did I do? Hold on, hold the fort. All right, these are all different styles. Now this one here, some kind of a stalk going into it, and that broke off the top of it. For what reason, I don't know. This is another one, maybe it's just, no, this is a different one. It's got two stalks going up in there. Why, I don't know. They're all different styles. You see this, the kids are playing on these? These have these little hexagonal looking things inside. You see that? This broke right out of that. And they made plates out of these, the Chinese or the Japanese or somebody, Oriental ones. That could be one big stone ball at one time, and they're living in all those little cavities, because they come with the cavities built in. Prefab. All right, here's a bunch of them. This is a house and a guy's van. You know, they've eroded away. That's, I believe, the same thing. There's a guy's truck and so forth. This is, I think, an eyeball. You see how it comes over and it pinches off to the side, and the same thing over there, and all of these different layers. At first, I thought it was a stone ball, but I think that's an eyeball of whatever. Je ne sais pas. I do not know. This one's a gigantic one. Look at this one. And that's got the one that has a sand in it, and they wrote it out. This is the ones that have pockets built into them. They're all built in. There's just like a fabric in there. And the only reason I can think it was be constructed like this is it can have a little bit of oomph, movement to it, rather than just a big solid stone ball. Or it's to anchor it in and have tissue grow into these pockets so that it can't rip out of there forever. I mean, just think about it. And here's the little spot where the tendon strap goes in. And the more I think about it, it's more likely that the flesh grew into these pockets, securing it really, really solidly. That could well be. These are a buddy of mine, Lee Simpson, sent me these. These are the ones with the pockets built in again. That's a big stone ball. This one is, Lee sent me this one. There it is. That's a stone ball, totally eroded. It has all the pockets built into it. This one here, I don't know. Somebody cut it down. I don't think that's natural. I think somebody cut that. And these are anchors down here. These are where the tendons go down and lock into something, bone or something, and then this came out the muscle or whatever it was. You know, these things are so tough, these tendons. That's why it could stand up like that forever and not fall over. You'd expect it to fall over. But boy, I'll tell you, those tendons are tough. Lily Lavender sent me this stone ball in a wall. And that's all flesh. This is all layers of tissue of flesh. And these are anchors. And that's where the strap came out of this one that's gone now. They all, pretty much all of them had a strap. And these are the little ones that they see around. I saw something the other day, they showed this exact same picture. I said, nobody can explain this. I've been explaining it for 10 years. Nobody can listen, that's a problem. All right, remember I showed you the other one that had that green around it? I think this is basically the same kind of stone ball. However, this was in an area where, like, maybe there was a lot of vanadium or something, and the other one was an area maybe there was a lot of copper. The green, who knows? I'm just saying that's the kind of different transition you can have. And the other one had that. One was green and stuff that broke off, which would be, there'd be a membrane right there, and they break on the membranes. And that was green, and the inside was black. So it's a little different, but not much. And it all depends on where where they died. This, I don't know. Like I said, I don't have answers for all this stuff, but I can tell you what, it's all biology. And that was skin. This is kaolin clays. That's the fine china skin. And that's where the strap came out to hold this in. And these move around all kinds of ways. As I believe I showed you, which is the interstitium. This had just ended up having opal inside the ball because it was in that a particular area, and I'm sure this came out of Yoa territory over in Australia. And there was so much silicate transition metals. They went in, and all of the biology that these plants are living on, which is inside it, that was all biology at one time. And it became stable by these transition metals going in and attaching to them. But this is the layer of biology. The stromatolites are growing through this. This is like a membrane layer on the outside. They're growing their roots down in through there into where there's still viable food inside those stromatolites. That's what they're doing. That's why they look nice and healthy looking. Look at the size of that. I'm pretty sure that was a tendon. Look at this here. These caves are not there for nothing. I think this was a strap that went into another ball over here somewhere. Who knows? This one is kind of strange. All right, remember I showed you the kids playing in the broken up ones? This is basically the same sort of stuff. They cut it straight across and made fancy looking whatever they made them for. I don't know, just to make them look fancy, I guess. This, I don't know, somebody must have made that. I've never seen anything like that before. And I think that was made just to be like a stone sculpture. And these, I don't know, these look like big kind of seeds or watermelon seeds or something. I don't have any idea about these. No clue. I think this is up in Canada. Yeah, they're up in Canada. These are the Moki marbles. And you see over here? This was a higher up spot, and the stuff ran out. That's why these are in the mud over here. That's where the mud is on this one. Before, over in the ones over the United Kingdom, the mud is the ocean floor now. Here's some more. They're everywhere. They're literally everywhere, and they have no explanation for them. They're concretions. Well, what concreted them? This, yikes. Look at the size of that thing. And it's all biology. It's just what it is. Yeah, that's the stalk of this one. She's having a good time out there. See that? That's the stalk, and there's the scale around it. I think it's probably going to be that same ball as the stalk, or maybe not. I don't know. This is where they're using cutters to cut slabs off of these things. Stonehenge. Stonehenge is all body parts from giants. Here it is right here. You see that? That's a fingertip. That's the fingernail right there. You see all that little mossy looking stuff? That's what grows in tissue. That's why it's growing there real well. And then you get into the fingertip, not so good. You get down here where the fingertip's broken off a bit, and you're back into the flesh. And this, I'm sure, is the bottom of a foot sticking this way. And at the top, this is the round tab that fits between one bone to the next so they don't bump against each other. These are parts from, I'm sure, a bunch of different giants. And the heel stone is a foot. See it right there? That's a foot. That's called the heel stone. I wonder why they called it the heel stone. Now, this I can tell you right now, died laying flat like this. That's the flat side of this. Almost all of them have a flat side. And these little tips on the toes, That's where the blood flows out the artery side and it comes back the vein side. And they have them all the way. You see the little holes on each one of the toes. See them? That, if you look at, you got to know anatomy, you got to know biology, how blood flows down through here and all that business. And this right here is where the vein was coming up too. That's a foot. They call it the heel stone. Duh. Oh man, it's too much. And I showed you before where they had all the stalks coming out of them. Sometimes they break right here, and all you see is like a little cavity, sort of. Just a little scale came off the top. Sometimes these stay, and they break right off, like about right in here. It depends. And again, there is a ton of different... whoops. Well, here it is right here. There's a ton of different styles of tendons in your body and anchors in your body. And then you got the ponerosis versus the rope style. And where was I? All right, I'm just about done. Don't worry. Whatever we got here. I'm not sure what we got there, but it could very well be a body part. I don't know. It doesn't fit the exact profile. They're cutting slabs of stone. Look at the size of these things. And the body parts turn to stone. Nucleophilic substitution. They took on whatever they needed to in this wet, salty, silicate-rich waters to become stable. And this is Japan. Now, these are the kind of stuff they did down in Peru and Bolivia and all that too. And they actually had machines down there cutting the slabs and then bringing them down, and then they just slap them together and they fit right together. It's like putty. And they did the same thing here. That's pretty cool. It's a different technique. They got this is the Oriental style of the same thing they did down in Peru. Okay, so as I showed you, as far as geology goes, and as far as the mud fossils and all that, they really don't have much of a clue. I did write this paper back in 2015 about the mud fossils and how they were preserved and how all of the collagens, the kerogens, and how this was one giant system which was made of the fluid-filled highway. That 2018, somebody else took credit for that. Because I said that the fascia is made of collagens and kerogens, creating a fiber and elastin sheet wraps around individually, comes together as one giant system. And hold on one second, to show you another part that talks about how it's a fluid-filled highway. And the other thing is where Yale took credit for my work. I showed this skin has 50 times the silicon, and they say that it was very unusual to have this high amount of silicon, and then they took credit for the perfectly preserved, exceptionally preserved fossils. And then they went on to make it, they didn't get the right thing out of it. And again, they took credit for my work. Basically, it's the exact same paper. And the same thing with the Interstitium. It's basically all of that came out of this one paper. And somebody else took credit for both of those things. So I'm going to show that as I show down here. It's like, hold on one second. I'll show you where I talked about the fluid-filled highway. All right, when I first discovered the fluid-filled highway here, fascia was thought to be mere packing material, virtually inert. They didn't know, and now it's a new organ. Well, they knew the fascia was there, they just didn't know about the fluid-filled highway. It's long been ignored as a subject of research. Recently, however, there's been new equipment that can see this stuff happening. Fascia is a tubular, fluid-filled fabric network. Fluid-filled fabric coats every organ, everywhere in the whole body. And it's one giant system, as I said before. And then I say that it instantly reconfigures itself as damaged or pulled apart, because it will. It'll pull apart and it gets damaged to sports injuries. But somehow all of those little tubes, there's so many of them, that they find a way to keep that fluid moving. Otherwise, you'd have a real serious problem. So anyway, I'm going to go into a very detailed examination of how my work's been stolen and plagiarized. And you know, and I looked it up. It's fraud if it's true, and I have to just show that it is true. And this is by Yale and by these other people. Yale primarily is the one that's just literally stole my work. I sent my paper to them and all of this stuff for years. And I finally wrote this paper in 2015, and in 2016 they published a paper that basically took credit for all of this. And they called it, well, here it is right here. Right there. Exceptional preservation of soft-bodied creatures promoted in silica-rich oceans. 50 times the silicon underneath the ocean, one layer. Mud fossils, exceptional preservation. And anyway, I will get into that. But, you know, if it's plagiarism and fraud, I don't know exactly what I will do. But I don't, maybe even some law about, I should have filed earlier. I never knew about this until just recently, that they published this paper. They never alerted me. So maybe statute of limitations runs out or something, because this goes back to 2016. They published theirs the end of 2016. I published mine and a book about my frustrations in early in 2016. And at the same time, listen to this. At the same time, 2016, you see this in February, I put my paper out in my book in January. And this was in 2016. My book went out in January. And then, How Tall Were the Giants in the Bible? Listen to this exactly. This is very interesting. It says, it is interesting how from time to time certain subjects pop up with unusual frequency. Over the past couple weeks, I have talked to multiple people who were curious about the height of the giants in the Bible. And I believe that's because of my papers and my book. It was just a few weeks before this. And it was taken off like a rocket ship until academia literally crushed it. And they have certain ways, and that's how I feel about it. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm just paranoid. But, well, I know that I was really pushed against and tried to look like I was an absolute fool. And this couldn't be, and that couldn't be, and this wasn't right, and that wasn't right. And that was early in 2016. But I just kept going after him and after him. And by the end of 2016, Yale had no other option other than to publish something. And this is it right here. And it's exactly what I told them, exactly. It says they're talking 540 million years old. All my stuff came right off the surface of the earth. It wasn't even buried. And they're saying that many of them are outright bizarre. And this was the Yale-led first author of this team. And they want to understand these things. Well, I don't think they really do. And then they say how the big part is, how did they form? I know how they formed. And then they say these were all entirely soft-bodied. No, this was before shells, teeth, or bones. They had hair follicles. And they had bones too. There's a bone too. But see, here's the problem with them. They say there's no bone there. That's not a bone. I said, yeah, that's a bone. They said, well, no, there's a stone. I said, I'll tell you what. If you look in a microscope, you will see there is one taste of bone left in this, because it didn't 100% transition. That is unusual in mud fossils. They're normally 100% transition, but this must have been laying in the mud right down like this, and the bone part didn't completely change. And I looked at it very carefully. It's a piece of bone. Because this was entirely bone at one time, just like a regular bone, but it gets infiltrated, just like Caesar here. This is my goose. And they all died in the flood here, and not long ago. They're all on the surface of the earth. Now, there's his feathers. Everything was absolutely, like they say, exceptional preservation of soft-bodied creatures. Yes, they're correct in that. But I told them, that's because I told them, not because they figured it out. And this is the flat side, silica-rich oceans, because the whole world was an ocean. It's one worldwide layer, and they agree with all that stuff. And they say these could have turned into stone within hours. I told them it wouldn't be within hours, but it could have been within a short time. Anyway, these are the feathers. And if you look at his neck, and you put it in the right shadows, you can see where the neck was right there. There's the center of the neck. This is where the bones probably would be around his neck. And it's all stone now. The only thing that stayed was the outside, was because of feldspar. And that's because this is phosphorus, or phospholipids, bilipid layers of phospholipids. And all of the collagen kerogens are that. And what happened was, they boiled down from the phospholipids down into aluminum silicates, and that's because of the hot water flood. All of the things that I told them all about, and they say, well, you know, and then they just took my paper. So I think that's plagiarism, I would say. You know, and so this is the mud fossils. They agree with it, pretty much what I told them. See, now they say it's a Yale-led research team did this. Now that when somebody else takes credit for somebody else's work or their ideas, that's plagiarism now. And the guy that I submitted everything to is right here, Derek Briggs. He's right here, Derek Briggs. And he's the curator of invertebrate paleontology at Yale Peabody. He refused to even examine my mud fossils, even after I engaged with him and said, I have CAT scans, I have DNA, I have all that stuff. And all he ever did send back to me, he says, I just think they're rocks. I'm not kidding you. That was his response to me. I believe they're just rocks. And then writes this paper taking credit for my work. So I think we got an issue here. And the truth is, this is literally the biggest discovery in human history since Jesus Christ. If you can think of anything bigger, I'm talking big. And not only talking big, I'm talking about giants and dragons and the things that affect your eternity. And this was denied for me to be able to present this basically by Yale. I think that's not good. Their mission is supposedly to look for evidence and truth and explore that. That's what I always thought. Now maybe they just can make up their own stories and that's fine and charge, I don't know, it's like $70,000 to go there a year. And I don't think they're getting a good payoff for what they're paying, seeing how they're not being told the truth. And they know this now, that this is true what I'm saying. I don't know what they teach them in class anymore, but I can tell you what, this to me smacks of plagiarism and fraud. And I think it might be a good idea to take a little more offense at this and look into some legal remedy here, or at least expose them for this, you know, despicable behavior. So that's what I guess I will probably do. Anyway, I love you all. Pay attention to what I'm showing, because you're not going to get it from mainstream. And you're not going to get it from physics either. They don't really care about the truth there either, or even getting us free energy. I've showed how we should at least look at the electron showers. Look up electron showers. Look up the energy value of electron showers. It will blow your mind, because electron showers are exactly what you put into your battery to make it run. They have no weight whatsoever, but they have all the power. You take your car, if you have an electric car, it weighs 4,000 pounds. You drive it until it's completely out of energy, it still weighs 4,000 pounds. You charge it up, fully charged up, so you can drive another 500 miles, still weighs 4,000 pounds. This energy that we have discovered, the white plasma that we can separate, is literally the energy that drove that car. And if we can do that, we could probably get free energy, I would think, and it would be portable, and it would look something like this. You'd have a laser shooting the laser beam through a venturi, which restricts the black part. We can't get through. Only the white, which is the white, is all you want. It gets through, goes down to your battery, or you could just take it and drive down the road with it. You could have 4 or 5 of those in the car at once. One of them goes bad, another one takes over. You may not have to have 10,000 pounds of batteries. I mean, these batteries are just ridiculously heavy, and they're dangerous. You get hit by a car with a stack of these batteries in it, and you're getting hit by a Mack truck. The weight is just off the charts. Plus, all these lithium-ion batteries, they're having fires and everything else. And as they age, they're going to get worse. And when you get into an accident, that's when you get a lot of these reactions. You know, I don't know if a lot, but lithium-ion batteries are extremely explosive because of their energetic, you know, the capacitance that they have. They're just loaded with extra electrons, and electrons burn. Now, what I'm talking about is something that you would just carry around. Hold on one second. Okay, so I'm telling you, nothing is correct in academia, and I see no desire to make it correct. Now, this is what Fermilab, which I consider part of academia as well, they're supposed to be doing research, and as far as I can see, they don't care about the end result. They just want to get the funding and so forth. That's my opinion. I can have my own opinion, but I submitted to them the same particles they found. Now, they started with protons, huge things, and they found the smallest particles that exist. I agree, but we did too. But we found them with light. And this is what a photon of light is. And it came out of a red laser, so light is light. Now, this does exactly what they say it does. These have no weight whatsoever, the white ones. And you can charge your car up with this. It's just, I'm going to show you in a second. I don't see any reason we shouldn't be able to do this. This has no weight whatsoever, but it has all the energy, and that just has all the mass. I agree. It has a fuzzy edge around it. Yes, I agree. Exactly like Fermilab says. And here's what happens with this particle when you accelerate it. These break apart. They actually do fission. Right here is fission, where the black breaks away from the white. Here is the electron shower, which is billions of electron volts, which is the stuff you want to put in your battery. If you could put a harvester right here, and run it down into your battery, or just run it right into the device. If this was cheap enough, and they're going to be I would think they're going to be very powerful, and they would be small enough, like something like this. In a little box like this. All right, you have all your different outlet styles in here, AC, DC, 60 cycles, 50 cycles, 110, 220, anything you want coming out of there. And what you'd have is the laser inside. You'd have literally thousands of them you could put in there. I'm not kidding you, they're that small. Coming through into a venturi, and then into a solar collector in the back. And that's all. You just got to get it before it hits the black particles. It's all white, completely 100% white for a short distance. You see, right up to here. So if you put your harvester somewhere in here, and you could figure out where to go here and there, and you could figure out where to go here and there and how to design a venturi, but you're getting a hell of a lot of power coming through here. You see this? This is what's coming out of that other side. It starts here, it's almost dark, so there's almost no energy. Here it just explodes, and it actually pushes backwards, reverse EMF. It's just like a nuclear explosion here, and it's a subatomic nuclear bomb going off right there. That's exactly what it is. That's fission and fusion. That's what happens in a nuclear bomb. Now, this we could maybe get free energy. If we could use this and carry something around like that and power your car, your house, whatever, and once you turn it on, that's it. It just runs. You don't have, it's not like you turn it on and 15 minutes later you can do another one in 15 minutes. Over at CERN and all those places, it's just nonsense. And the size of the equipment, it's never going to be productive. You're never going to get anything out of it. And here it is right here. And even Lawrence Livermore is showing basically the same thing I'm showing. Here's high energy electron showers, high energy showers, low energy when it first comes through. The muons, they just bounce them right back out of here. All right, for us, the same thing. The muons stay back here. The electron showers come right through. And you get high energy showers right here, where high energy means you got a lot of energy. That's not too hard to understand. And again, this was I approached Fermilab, Don Lincoln specifically at Fermilab for, a long time ago, 7, 8 years ago. And I presented all this stuff to him, and he was not nice to me at all. He was very obnoxious, to be perfectly honest. He told me I was a tinfoil hat guy and never contact them again. Well, that doesn't usually work for me, so I kept it up and kept it up and kept it up. And it became quite contentious. And so that's his fault, not mine. And he's working as a government employee. He's working for me. And I want this thing straightened out. And the Department of Energy, I just sat in on a thing they had a couple of days ago. $20 billion they want to give to somebody to show them the how. Well, here's the how. I don't want $20 billion. I don't want even $1. I want somebody to look at this. It's all ready to go. The lasers are there. The receivers, a solar panel basically is what you got, only you want one better than that. You want to use the perovskites, the new stuff that absorbs all the different frequencies, and then you need somebody to engineer it. And then just roll it off the presses, and it's all solid state. It could be carried around in a little lunchbox like that. And you could, all your little adjustments, you could have anything you want, AC, DC, different voltages, USB plugs in there, or whatever you want. And again, it should be very, very, very small and very, very, very powerful. And don't forget, that white has no energy when it comes, no weight. And that's exactly what we're showing, is no weight whatsoever to these white particles. They have none. Exactly what happens in an atomic bomb. The bomb goes off, the white hits and burns it down, and then the black comes and knocks it over. This is what you want to put in your batteries, or just drive your car with it, or your house, or run your appliances, whatever. And this, I was told, if tinfoil hat guy don't ever contact us again. And they're spending, somebody told me the other day, it was something like $57 million a day going into, I think, Fermilab, or one of them. I don't know if it's them. I don't know if it's that much money either. It was some ridiculous amount of money. Let's just go with that. And there's a zillion people that are getting paid to walk around in circles and to dismiss reality and call people names. I don't think that's right. Do you? I think we could use $56 million or whatever it is. I can't remember the number, but I think we could use that money in a better way. And also maybe even get free energy by getting away from those people. It's a disgrace what's going on in this country. Absolute disgrace. So what are you going to do? That's my feeling for the day, my good friends. I love you all. All right, it looks like they are paying attention to Fermilab. This just came out in 2023, March. Major shakeup coming for Fermilab, the troubled U.S. Particle Physics Center. Incompetence is the trouble there. Department of Energy opens a new competition for contract to manage the storied facility. Yeah, it's storied because it's just been an absorber of money. And I found there was no interest whatsoever in something that was almost impossible to dismiss. I showed exactly the identical particles that Don Lincoln was looking for, and he told me I was a tinfoil hat guy. Something should be done about that. They're talking about cutting their funding. And when I made a statement about how much money, I have no idea how much money they get, but it's got to be a lot. That's a big operation going there. Now, it says they're DOE would not comment, but observers say its frustration included cost increase and delays in a new neutrino experiment. I've already got them. I got neutrinos coming out of your ears. I don't think it's surprising at all given the department's evaluation of Fairleigh Labs' performance, which is miserable, stunningly miserable. And then they go after this. I mean, he says, James Decker, a physicist and consultant with Decker, an associate who served as principal deputy director of DOE's Office of Science from 73 to 2007. Although Fairleigh Lab passed its 2022 performance evaluation, they just had to give it to him. Because I've been slamming this stuff on the internet. They know I'm talking. They don't know what they're doing, or they just refuse. Well, they're refusing, and it's just not right. It says one of the fiscal year 2021 was one of the most scathing I have ever seen, and they should be. Somebody has to be listening to me. I know that somebody's hearing me. I went after Don Lincoln over and over and over, and he's the one that's stopping my research as far as I'm concerned. I can't get through to anybody. I can't get through to anybody. Now, and when I do, the only thing I ever get talk about is, I found out the same particles they found at Fermi Lab. Get hold of Fermi Lab. I said I did. They won't talk to me. Well, that's because you're an idiot. And the same thing happened to the Mudfossils. I said I'm right down the street from Yale. I got all of these things, and I got them. They will go to Yale. I said I tried. They won't talk to me. You're an idiot. So something has to be done about this, and I think we should find some legal representation to take this to another stage. Otherwise, nothing is ever going to happen. Nothing. So that's it for today. I love you all. I'm sure we'll be talking. No question about that. All right, you see the Department of Energy is frustrated they can't get the neutrino from the neutrino experiments. These are muon neutrinos, electron neutrinos, the black and the white balls. We separated them and made a sterile muon and electron showers, and we can squirt those onto that substrate all day long to get free energy. This has been 8 years now that Don Lincoln has forced me to not be able to discuss this, and nobody will discuss it with me. So there's been 8 years of missing this possibility. I don't know if it'll work or not, but to refuse to do it and spend literally billions of dollars over that time frame easily, and no interest in seeing exact same particles that he presented, saying that they were the smallest particles that exist, and I agree, and we had them, and I showed him all this stuff, and all he said was, you're a tinfoil hat guy, get lost. Don't contact me again. All right, so that's what we're up against, and they should change that very, very quickly. This is crazy. We're spending money like water there, and even water is more precious than what they're doing there. There's nothing that's been produced there at all that I can see. Maybe they can show something that they did, but I can't see anything. And I've shown that they don't care about something that is quite obviously could be important. We're talking about neutrinos. Here they are. I got them coming out of my ears. All right? And not only that, we can squirt that onto a substrate all day long. We got neutrinos. And electron showers, that is what I say is the cat's meow. Because that's all you want is that white to put in your battery. And we can separate it without tearing it to shreds. In a generator, you got to do a hell of a lot of work to pull the black away from the white. Here, just by going through this venturi, the separation happens. Only the white can get through, the black can't make it. So this is what we're up against, and this is because we have been dictated to by people that have been put in power and just abused it as far as I'm concerned. And I could be wrong, but to tell me to stay away, I'm a tinfoil hat guy showing the exact particles, and fully can explain everything. I can explain everything. And the new model is electron flood theory. Dipole electron flood theory changes the standard model, which does not work. And mine does. If you can present me with anything, I mean anything, to do with physics in the subatomic range, I will respond. All right, thank you. I love you all. I could be wrong, but I could be right.